I thank all the panelists for agreeing to speak, that too on a Sunday, and I'll introduce them as they speak. But let me list out the people who are there with us today. So, starting with Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Sinha ji, Director, Indian Law Institute. And then Ms. Rosie Tabagongo. She is member National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. She is still to join. She will join. Then we have Dr. Vipin Mishra ji. He's an IPS officer, Superintendent of Police in District Sultanpur in Uttar Pradesh. And then Ms. Leena Prasad, advocate, and she's also Assistant Director Advocacy at Udain Care. Then we have Mr. Anant Kumar Asthana. He's a child rights lawyer, well known on child rights. Then we have Dr. Kumar Askand Pandey. He's Associate Professor at Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia National Law University, Lucknow. And then we have Mr. Rafiqul Islam. He anchors the child marriage campaign in Assam. And I am Vikram Srivastava from Independent Thought. I will be anchoring and moderating the discussion. So before I hand over to Manoj, I'll just, as a backgrounder, I will just speak few lines and then I will hand over to Manoj. So we are today for a very, very interesting discussion on a critical topic. Somewhere it also becomes controversial when it comes to the issues of romantic marriages, and because it kind of intersects with various other legal issues, so age of consent, agency of the child, autonomy, growing age, all these things kept against the principle of best interest. And somewhere the larger role of the community and the key stakeholders when it comes to POCSO and some special provisions under that special law, especially we have apprehension under section 19, then you have presumption under section 29, and then mandatory reporting under section 19, 21 and 22. So when we look in the background of POCSO and PCMA and the other child protection laws, it becomes very interesting to discuss. Plus, since the enactment of POCSO in 2012, when the age of consent was kind of freezed at 18, it has been a point of discussion among people who work on child rights. And post the independent thought judgment, which raised the age from 15 to 18 in the exception 2, many felt that the loophole in the law which allowed certain kind of marriages to be legalized in some sense, that gap has been plugged now. So now that created a lot of issues. Plus, I think the judgment also by Honorable Justice Lokur and Justice Gupta also stated very clearly that both PCMA and POCSO are special and secular legislations. So that also kind of has its own impact as to how child marriages and consummation and issues around it kind of now is dealt with. Then we have a lot of reports on the need to create an exception under POCSO. So there are reports by leading agencies which talks about need for carving out an exception within POCSO, basically demanding that age of consent needs to be either brought down or an exception needs to be created on the lines of the Romeo-Juliet exception we have in countries like US. Not all states of US, but there are states where you have this exception of Romeo-Juliet. And so somehow the issues of protecting and promoting the sexual reproductive health rights of the girl child or children as a whole, and other issues of autonomy, agency, growing age, those are being brought out as the argument. And also the fact that many of the boys who are kind of treated as the offenders under POCSO end up at the CCIs for rehabilitation. So that's another issue which keeps coming up. So with this, I would like to request Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Sinha ji of Indian Law Institute to deliver his keynote, and then we will proceed further.
All right, Vikram, thank you very much. And all the panelists here on the online, and I must appreciate that you thought about a topic which, like, is very in a very limited sector people are talking about, and you have expressed concern, and we had an opportunity to discuss. I thought how to begin. You have covered also a number of aspects. You have said that POCSO, PCMA, and lot of age of consent, exception to the age of consent. In like in the cases of romanticism, or like the way Romeo and Juliet laws in the United States of America, and also I read somewhere in the Ireland. But we have to go to the primary question: why, like child marriages is prohibited, and you have struggled, and many people are struggling. It's for not only for the marriage, like the people are against the marriage, but it's like whether it's the ideal age of marriage. That is the question, whether woman, girl is prepared for the marriage. So marriage is a responsibility. So ideal age, which has been fixed in the PCMA on the section 20, section 2, which says 21 years for the boys and 18 years for the girls. So that it's like not an ordinary exercise. It took long time, and fixing an age where people can begin a journey. It's not like and also women are prepared, girls are prepared. So age is like for education, health, and number of other factors which are equally important. Is marriage is no doubt, and every individual has a right to marriage also. All human rights recognize it. So nobody is stopping a marriage. But why we are thinking about in such a situation where boys and girls are deeply in a love, they can be counseled or delayed the marriage and say, when appropriate time comes, you get married. That is perfectly fine. But creating an exception means opening a new Pandora box. You open, and then every time exception will be misused. And as I have seen already, Rafiqul ji is here, how in Assam people are finding a way. And then you have shared me. So the moment you make an exception for a thing which you all have struggled, in 2006, we have made a law, PCA, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Then we have POCSO. Then we have also the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And child marriages is a big issue itself in India. It has not gone, even despite independent thought judgment, PCMA, Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNESCO, UNICEF, all the things, child marriages are very common. Some are reported, some are unreported. And we are party, we see that things are happening, marriages are taking place. And some of the states like Rajasthan, West Bengal, and some states like, people are not aware about the nitty-gritty of the legal provisions and everything. So somebody activists, they inform the family, what you are doing, it's not correct. This is not the age of marriage. In the India, there is a law. If you do this, there will be wrong. So marriage, child marriage is rampant. It's like huge. So issue is already there to how to tackle. And people like you and people like Rafiq Bhai, they are struggling hard to bring. And then you want to an exception. Already exception is rampant. How bring an exception? That is also very big. So I don't think even the United States, in some of the states, they have adopted Romeo and Juliet. Their society, and if this Romeo and Juliet law is there in the United States and also in the Ireland, their society is different. Their conditions are different. Their education system is different. Their health system is different. Support social security system is different. Here, every individual has to struggle. Even if you are you attain the age of marriage and then you get married, you have to struggle for everything. But by the time you are matured enough to think an appropriate decision and you move on. But if we start adopting or emulating the laws of the Western countries or developed nations in Indian scenario, I think there is a problem. So they have thought about it, and because of their strong system, they might have agreed for the experimenting. We don't need to experiment. So what I see, we have to strictly adhere to the laws which we have created after much struggle by the, not only by the human rights activists, child rights activists, and also other academicians, lawyers. So they all have played, and some good sense has prevailed on the government. Even when you go to, you remember, in the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which has a it says compulsory registration of marriages. So government at the time of ratification, long time back, they said, we can't do registration because we don't want to interview. It's very difficult. It's a huge country. We have a different kind of challenges. However, recently the Supreme Court has given, and we are moving towards the registering of marriages. All marriages must be registered. So we have a different kind of, we can't follow what has been except some way working in the Western world can be applied here. And I don't see there's an there's a chance of exemption or exception making in the existing law just to accommodate the autonomy of boys and girls. So there's no doubt, autonomy is there. There's no doubt that sexual agency, that they have freedom. So everything is there. Only marriage for their own interest, and that is the responsibility of the society. That is the responsibility of the state. That is the responsibility of all of us is there. Even if you go back and we look into the, I would like to highlight one of the important point when in the 2014, as you know that Committee on the Rights of the Child, and you work closely with the Committee on the Rights of the Child. That is the monitoring body. So when India submitted its report, state party report in 2013, I believe 2012 or 2013. So Committee on the Rights of the Child identified list of issues which required special attention by the government of India. There are a number of issues are there, 30-40 issues are there anyone can see. But what I have located, and that are that has given me a new thought with what we should do. And there they say it clearly, the first list of issues. So list of issues contains 30-40. The first list of issues which clearly says that kindly provide, so Committee on the Rights of the Child asking, kindly provide updated information on measures taken to guarantee the implementation of the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act in all states of the state party. So there's this thought about all Indian states of the state party. So there's how you are implementing child marriage act. So it means they are specific. They are not saying only state party. They said all states in your state. Means all each. So they are aware what is happening in the ground level and which state has highest number of there. And they have also emphasized on the definition of the child in all national and federal legislation. So all national or federal legislation, definition of child also to be so they are not sure. So Committee on the Rights of the Child is not sure whether age, which we follow on the Convention of the Rights of the Child, 18, is applicable into the all Indian states, or they have a different legislation. So these 2-3 points are by looking into, even in 2014, we feel we have not been able to establish that we have successfully, or we are successfully working towards elimination of child marriages in India, and we have sufficient number of legislations, sufficient number of laws have been introduced, and also series of important judgments like Independent Thought versus Union. All these things are happening, but still there is a doubt that child marriages are common. And when you have that issue, so question is regarding the implementation of Prohibition of Child Marriage Act remains first priority before the Committee on the Rights of the Child. If you go into the Convention on the Rights of the Child, today almost we are in 32 years on the, if you know that 20th November 1989, this convention was adopted. And on 2nd September 1990, it entered into force. Almost all states have signed and ratified except 1 or 2 states. So the major point, if we look into, the first is the definition part, which is very important. And since we have become part of this convention much early, we have to respect the obligations. We have also in domestic similar provision, but I think with both, we have to respect domestic law and as well as the international law. So when we look into the Article 1 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which says a child means every human being below the age of 18 years, unless under the law applicable to child, majority age attained earlier. So since we follow 18 years for the children, let it be there. Even I had some reservation when we have Juvenile Justice Act, we have lowered the age between 18 and 16 for the heinous crimes we have introduced. So that was also a little bit like, difficult for many people to accept the change which was introduced in the 2015. So we see the focus of the convention on this. So we have to think about the welfare, betterment of the development of the children, right to education, right to health, best interest of the child, survival and development of the children, and so they can integrate in the communities. And children need to earn, children has to be treated with dignity and respect. So if you say in a holistic way, when you look into the Convention on the Rights of the Child and also the domestic legislation and subsequent interpretation by the courts in India in High Court, and even if you have mentioned about the Madhya Pradesh High Court judgment where you have said POCSO as PCMA is a special and secular legislation. So the importance we have been giving. Now some people have, with all due respects, they have also a point of view we have to see. But neither we are stopping or we are saying, it should be, there's no scope for accommodating such kind of ideas. There should no exception. So we have a line, and personally, I believe, maybe opinion may differ from the other scholars, other gentlemen or ladies here. But I feel what we have achieved, the time has come to stick over and focus on the welfare of the children for there, because that is also goal which we have also mentioned under the sustainable development goals, like sustainable. So child marriage is also some way an issue under the sustainable development goals, which we have an obligation to follow. We have to do that. And if I just to conclude, if I look into the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, with section 2A and B, both are very important. Section 2A, which clearly says child means a person if a male. So it makes a distinction from the Convention on the Rights of the Child. It says if a person if a male has not completed 20 years of age, and if a female has not completed 18 years of age, that is the definition. So that is more in the, because of the provision of child marriage, so they focused on the marriage is there. Child marriage means a marriage to which either of the contracting party is a child. So what do we see? If we see the law already in the place, already there are lots of efforts by the government, by the NCPCR, by the National Human Rights Commission, NCW, various statutory bodies, constitutional courts, and all other activities like non-governmental organizations like you and others. They all are working towards to continue for the child has a better future, child a healthy life, child enjoys their human rights in best. And what we also do, the best interest of the child. Early marriage will different issues, different challenges are there. A girl will be going reversing, like an entire development activity will reverse. She will lose education, health issues, and other things. So I think the time has come to assert, time has come to identify what are the priority. It's not the marriage will definitely take place because that is also a fundamental right. But what is the priority? Priority is the health of the children, education of the children, employment opportunity once they become an adult. These are the issues which you need to taken care, and respect to the existing law. If law is a little bit arbitrary, law is difficult, of course there is a scope for amendment, modification is there. I'm sure that we have number of speakers today with us. They have a different view, and they will definitely throw in light. This kind of exercise which you have taken will definitely bring out some concrete suggestions with either sides, which side we have. So I hope with this exercise which you have initiated, this webinar you have taken initiative, will be very successful event to address the issue which you have identified today. Thank you very much, Bikram. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Manojji, for your such a broadening of the issue, both from the national and international perspective. And going to the next speaker, we have Mr. Rafiqul Islam. Is like a one-man army in Assam who is fighting a war against.
You are not audible, Bikram. You are not audible. No. रफीकुल भाई आपको आवाज आ रही है? नहीं ना? नहीं यार, हाँ वही तो।
Am I audible now?
हाँ,
Yes.
So, thank you, Manojji, for your broadening of the issue from both international and national perspective, and focusing more on the role of law in terms of providing protection support towards the development of the girl child. And now, may I introduce Rafiqul Islam? He's, as I said, he's like a one-man army fighting against all odds in Assam, protecting young girls against the typical patriarchal mindset where men want to marry girls as young as possible. Even the prospective husbands are wanting younger girls in their marriage. And what the lawyers in Assam has created by their own self is a Romeo Juliet exception by themselves. And the law may not be talking about Romeo Juliet exception, but the creative lawyers in Assam have developed an exception, and they are using law, though as per me completely illegally, but in a very, very creative way to sabotage all the progressive legislations on one hand, Judgments Act on one hand, and they have created a scenario where they are smart playing with the legal system. So I will hand over to Rafiqul. He's like a younger brother and a person to look at the way he is working. So over to you, Rafiqul, please.
नमस्कार सबको। पैनल में जितने लोग हैं, मेरा ये गर्व महसूस हो रहा है कि आप लोगों के साथ में बैठ के बात कर रहा हूँ। मैं ग्राउंड में जो कुछ किया है, जो कुछ मेरा एक्सपीरियंसेस रहा है, आई मे शेयर विथ यू. So thank you also very much. I am not a good speaker, and particularly in webinar, I may be nervous. So please keep me boosted. Anyway, Vikram sir, आप थोड़ा आपका वो वीडियो ऑन करके रखिए, नहीं तो मुझे ब्लाइंड महसूस हो रहा है. मनोज सर जी तो है, दिख रहा है मुझे. I feel confident. Anyway, so हमारा इधर what is happening around, people are economically backward, and at the same time they are in the rural areas, they were illiterate, means literally backward, and these are the two key factors why people go for marrying their girls early. So girls here become the burden first for the parents. So now this burden is going to be shifted to another person. Now it is a burden to the parents, how the other person may take care of her. Anyway, along with that comes the scenario of education. The illiteracy remains as it is. So it deteriorates because the population always goes up. Look at the statistics, you'll always find that more children are born to child brides than to the grown-ups. Anyway, then the health issues come, and particularly I should not mention, even then I have to be partial to that extent, that here the community in which child marriage is rampant is Muslim minority. So they are a sect of Assamese people, and they do not have any social or religious prohibition or any such taboo in marrying children. So that has been one aspect. So even when this law has been warning, so before we started working, people indeed did not know that there is a law which will prohibit the marriage of a child. So we practiced this, created awareness, and even the legal authorities had to be told that there is a law which can be practiced. Anyway, now what we face is that people have become aware of these things, that the girl should not be married early. At this, people go for support from law again. So even when this provision is not there in law, they have already made. So we have been struggling to convince the people practicing legal aspects, lawyers and advocates, therein we fall short because most learned people are there in the court and they have been trying to bend the law without support of proper law. Say, when we were talking to some experts, they said that this is not valid. There were some people who said this is neither valid nor invalid. So that is where we fall short of. Prepared uh, a very brief small presentation on what these uh, legal practitioners are practicing in bending the child marriage. So actually, what they write is not the marriage particularly, but they say that the marriages will occur to these people only when they become mature. We do not find the logic why they should be bound like that. There are certain clauses that they must marry or they marry without fail. Means even when they become matured, they are bound to marry that person. They lost the freedom before they could understand anything. Here I'll try to share my screen with the presentation without prolonging the discussion. Please be with me. This is, I named it child marriage, illegal notary job. So here, since there is no legal provision as to entering the name, pictures of children in some kind of agreement where they will be bound for life, I term it illegal anyway. Here we'll see that child marriages are being coerced like this, and there will be remarkably inappropriate age. The diction of the practitioners, logic of the practitioners, how children are compelled not to get out of the bondage. And then there are use of photographs also there in the notary particulars. And what kind of evidence are they trying to produce? Then there is some poor aspect of their professionalism. I'm going. So this is obviously a notary paper. I have cut it out and pasted. I have marked in red circles. The boy I blurred. It is aged about 14. And in the second clause, it is the girl who is aged about 12 years. So the story is that they fell in love and they should be married. And they will marry only after they become 18. The actual story is that after executing this, the illiterate parents thought that they have some court paper. They felt empowered and they started keeping them together. So after 3 years, when the girl became hardly 15, they had a separation. Now I was trying to convince the father of the girl. I forgot about that. I always omit the father of the boy because they do not get pregnant or they are not stigmatized. So I went to the father of the child, and he was not ready to go to court further, even when this kind of thing happened. I will invite a question if there is any. I am ready to explain. Here is a list of children and their age. Say serial number 1, we see boy is 20, the girl is mentioned in the paper as 16, but when I examined the actual paper, I found it 14 years, 9 months when the agreement was executed and they were living together, even when it was written that they will marry only after. So living together matter is not mentioned, but then in some of the papers, it is written that they will be in the custody of respective parents. So serial number 2, we already mentioned that 12-year-old girl, that is really appalling. She, from which aspect, which angle should she be ready to have sexual relation or be married? Or how can her feelings, infatuation, termed as love? I'll show how these notary people, practitioners have given this as a documentary proof of love. That is the clause written. I will show that. Here we have false representation of age. So, and we have example of a 14 plus girl written in notary paper as 20-year-old, and she was married and she started living with the parents, and that was a not marriage paper, not a premarital agreement. So I think we have seen this. Serial number 5, I have written minor in red. There is no citation of age of date of birth or age. Simply it is written minor. Means they must be ashamed of to mention the age of those children who are about to be married. And then in some other cases, the boy's marriage or age is omitted while the girl's age would be there. We have found that it is average. The average is 14 years, who might be a student of class 8. And they are living together with in the shadow of these kind of agreements. Then the diction of the agreement, so funny, means these lawyers, practitioners, do not have good, means they are as illiterate as the people come to them. I have circled in red. They are choice each other. Now, if it brings any sense to anyone, but I understand from their behavior and all that they love each other or they like each other. And then they have certified it something like this. The next I underlined in red. The said daughter has fallen in deep love with the second party. In deep love. Fallen in deep love. And particularly it is written about the said daughter, whose age might be some 13 or 14. So this infatuation is termed as love. We, other than convincing the people that this is not your age, you go to school and develop yourself, we just say that you can live together or you will be married. So in the previous one, we have seen a severe girl child. If she is not married now, she will be waiting for some sick, be dreaming of that man, and that man will come near her house to meet her and think of POCSO and return. So we feel it funny anyway. And then here we have a matter of fine compensation. So if you do not marry that particular person, you can see in the underlined part, rupees 2 lakh. Either party. There are two clauses in both the party. First part, if first party breaches, then the first party will pay. If the second party breaches, second party will pay. Now the amount mentioned here is rupees 2 lakh. So the father who produced this to me could not even imagine what is 2 lakh. He might be earning 300 rupees a day only if he goes to work. Otherwise, he will not earn a penny. If he does not go to work for a week, he will starve. So if he does not marry his daughter, he will have to pay a fine of rupees 2 lakh as compensation to the boy. So we are going to the next. Here, compulsion of marriage. In the round red circle, there is a blue, I have marked it without fail. That means marriage between the parties, words of the opponents have to be conducted without fail. As soon as, means there is no gap of time, both of them attain the age of maturity. Immediately after they attain maturity, they, without fail, they have to marry each other. So this is also comes to the idea of diction anyway. They are not given an option to choose another person when they grow up, when they get the age of consent. Then we have seen here the pictures. What I feel is the pictures above their parents. I think from the picture that they are married. But when we go through the paper, we see that the children below are about to be married. That's funny. The parents' age would be some 40, 35, like that. The next thing is, this is in clause 6, when one of the documents is documentary evidence of proof that both boy and girl fall in love with each other. So that's really funny, a joke. And here we have this professionalism of those, how carefully they are working that out. I have circled in red the word with. It should be wish. This deponent's wish, but they have written with carelessly. They are as illiterate as the people who come to them. Again, we have this diction issue. They are choice each other. So there is no seriousness in this matter. The lawyers already know that these are meaningless things, but they are giving them the courage. They do not even explain what they are writing in. Most of the papers we have seen, if you see on the right side corner, thumb impression. In most of the papers, we have thumb impression, means all illiterate people are coming to them. Other than giving them good counseling, they are coerced. And I have found that in one of the cases, one of the notary, even without giving paper, claimed 25,000 rupees for coercing the marriage. That he would do such things with the system that the children can live together. But I do not have any written evidence on all, so I cannot bring it to light. Anyway, from rupees 2,000 to 25,000. So this is the range what the advocates are claiming. Most of the advocates are claiming 2,000 to 5,000. And this one, in one of the papers, I found that the breaching party, the party which should breach the contract, will pay rupees 5 lakh. Those illiterate and poor people, how they are empowered, or so these are in my eyes ludicrous. I have been trying to bring it to notice of the people of the country, and Bikramji was there always supporting me and guiding me in all my aspects. In every step, I have to talk to him, because there are legal provisions I do not know much. I have to be careful, because when all the lawyers are against me, someday I may be victim of their prey. So I always keep connected with Sir Bikram, who is encouraging me much, and I am proud to know through him all these distinguished people, Sir Manoj Kumar, Sir Bipin Mishra ji, and then this Rosita Ba madam, then Leena di, अनंत कुमार अस्थाना, उनका नाम तो सुनता ही रहता हूँ. आज शायद पहले हमारा इनकाउंटर हुआ है. और ये है कुमार अस्कन पांडे जी. So there are more others. I'd be proud to be accepted as a brother in arms in the mission, and I hope learned panelists will discuss on the issues I have seen. I have tried much to bring it to knowledge. I have talked to DLSA secretary and other persons, so that this comes into a conclusion that poor, illiterate people are not pushed to the marginalization further. So along with this, I thank you very much for listening to me. I'll reply any question on my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafiqul. Thank you so much. And I'm equally confident that everyone you named must be also feeling proud to know you. While we keep discussing at a different level, but the kind of effort and real change which you are making to happen on the ground is commendable. And as I said earlier, Rafiqul is a one-man army without any NGO or fund support. He is passionate about rights of children. So Rafiqul, please stay with us and we will continue. So next, I would like to request Dr. Askand Pandeyji. He's a very accomplished academician, passionate about rights of children. Have written several books on rights of children from his experiences of criminal law and on different activities he's keep doing. And he's one of the founding faculty of Ram Manohar Lohia National Law University. And one thing I can vouch about him is he's an excellent cook. So over to you, sir. And what I'll request from you would be if you can give some kind of, jurisprudential grounding to the whole issue, plus your other experiences will obviously come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you very much. And what a treat it was to the ears to listen to Rafiqul Bhai. I'm glad that I had this opportunity thanks to independent thought in Vikram. Respected Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar, Director, Indian Law Institute, respected Ms. Rosie, respected Dr. Vipin, distinguished member of the panel, Mr. Rafiqul Islam, whom Vikram referred to as one-man army fighting against what I would now call these fake romantic relationships in Assam and neighboring areas. And my learned friend, Advocate Anand, fellow participants. As I already said that listening to Rafiqul Bhai was a great learning that what is happening as far as child protection, child rights and child marriages are concerned, in spite of having what we call the CRC compliant laws in every respect. So today we are here to brainstorm on this issue, which is of immense relevance from two and at times very divergent perspectives. One is child protection, the other one is autonomy or agency to children. Child marriages are prevalent despite all the great efforts that we have made in the past 1 decade at least in right direction, and we have had a law prohibiting child marriage, even punishing those who facilitate child marriage at least since 1929. The extant law is that PCMA of 2006. So how does PCMA deal with a romantic child marriage? Of course, this aspect of PCMA is often overlooked and we only see one aspect of a PCMA, that how PCMA declares child marriages as voidable. When you look at the PCMA, a tiny, very small piece of legislation, you would find that PCMA talks about 3 different kinds of child marriages. One, where the child is forced to marry because the parents want him to or her to marry another child or even an adult of their choice. The law says that such marriages are voidable. voidable at the option of the party who was a child at the time of contracting that marriage, and that option has to be exercised within 2 years. A few states have made amendments to PCMA of 2006 and have declared even these marriages as void. But then this central legislation, it talks about two other kinds of marriages. One is in section 12, and there you can find, if you read between the lines, that section 12 deals with the so-called romantic child marriages. When you read section 12, you would find that these romantic child marriages are null and void. Unlike the marriage which is solemnized and facilitated by parents and elders, this child marriage, where the child has not been coerced, the child is in a romantic relationship, though these words, romantic relationship, lack of coercion, is missing. But that is the essence of section 12 of the PCMA Act. It talks about a marriage where the marriage has taken place subsequent to the elopement. And elopement is a criminal offense. If you refer to the IPC provision, section 361 of Indian Penal Code, which talks about taking away or enticing a girl. In taking away, enticing, there may not be any force. There may even be willingness on the part of the girl. The girl may be the one who initiated the entire process, pressurized the boy to marry because she is madly in love, as Rafiqul Bhai was showing so many so-called affidavits prepared by lawyers, knowing fully well that these affidavits have no sanctity and can't stand the scrutiny of law in any case. So as far as the intention of the law is concerned, the intention of the law is clear, that children would not be allowed to exercise any autonomy, or they would not be given any agency as far as making romantic choices are concerned. Now, I'm not going into this conundrum of a voidable marriage and the void marriage, which section 12 of the PCMA talks about. I mentioned these two sections only to emphasize that how the law regards children having limited agency when it comes to making what we call romantic choices. But can we say that children have limited agency only when it comes to making romantic choices? You would find that in several other legislations, children are not allowed to do so many things. A child can't enter into a valid agreement which amounts to a contract. Those having background in law, they would know that. Way back, Privy Council declared that a child's agreement is void ab initio, child's contract is no contract. Child can't even enter into a civil contract. Agency is limited there. The Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition Act places several disablements on children. Child can't take up any job of his choice. He can't, even if he is willing. Often we believe that, like the child marriages, that children are only pushed into marriage. Here we are on this platform to discuss romantic child marriages. Romantic child marriage, where the child is himself willing. So there may be a situation where a child is willing to work in a so-called hazardous occupation. The law says that no, you can't. Why does the law place this disablement on a child? Because the law believes, and the belief is based on proven data and all, that they are not mature, they are not physically mature, they are not mentally mature to take up those jobs. There is no denying this fact that children have agency. But what is the extent of that agency? To what extent they can exercise these choices is the question that we are currently concerned with. Now, another thing that I would like the audience and the panelists to ponder over and would like to draw their attention to, that the PCMA, the extant law on child marriages, it doesn't recognize the JJ Act of 2015. It didn't even recognize the JJ Act of 2000. In none of the provisions you would have any reference to the JJ Act of 2000. It's the other way around now. The JJ Act of 2015 has declared that a child given in a marriage, a child who has been given in a child marriage, is a child in need of care and protection. Can it be any different for a child who has married of his or her own so-called own accord, the relationship being romantic? If a child who has been given in a child marriage is a child in need of care and protection, isn't a child who is in a romantic relationship and that romantic relationship has led to a marriage, isn't that child also a child in need of care and protection? In order to understand the present legal regime that governs these romantic child marriages, I'm not talking about the generic child marriages or child marriage as is understood by the masses, where parents are seen as facilitators. Parents are the facilitators. So in order to understand the present legal regime governing romantic child marriage, you need to read the PCMA of 2006, the JJ Act of 2015, the POCSO Act of 2012, and also the Independent Thought Judgment of 2017. Now, coming to the issue of criminalizing a romantic relationship, the IS law, romantic relationship or any kind of relationship with the child is criminal. Let's consider the OUT law. What are the options available? Professor Manoj talked about the Romeo-Juliet exception, or what is alternatively known as the age proximity clause. Now, I often wonder that how people in this country, and there are learned people who sort of advocate such kind of exceptions, a proviso to the extent law which criminalizes any kind of sexual contact with a child, that how they seem to be blind to the stark social realities of the Indian society. There's nothing wrong in borrowing the good practices, good provisions, good laws, good rules, good regulations from other jurisdictions. In United States of America, in Canada, you have this age proximity clause. You have this Romeo-Juliet exception. Are the conditions ripe in this country, both legal and social, to incorporate those exceptions in our legal regime, the present legal regime? The age proximity clause or the Romeo-Juliet exception, that would primarily be revolving around the question of age. And everyone who is working with children knows that how controversial the question of age has been. The entire juvenile justice system, to my understanding, revolves around the question of age. And it's very easy to prove whatever age you want to be proved in this country. So I don't think that age proximity clause or Romeo-Juliet exception in POCSO, or for that matter in any other legislation like PCMA, is going to help the cause of child protection in this country. It's true that with the onset of puberty, sexual experimentation is something that is inevitable. Children become curious not only about their own bodies, but also about the bodies of their peers, others, especially the other sex, certainly. We have the JJ Act of 2015. The need is to strengthen that JJ Act of 2015. The need is to raise our voice for abolition of that so-called subclassification of children between 16 to 18 years that Professor Manoj Kumar was also talking about, that how he felt bad about that subclassification. Now, when you insist on greater sexual autonomy to children, what in fact you are insisting on is that because children are mature, and the maturity is not only physical, it's also mental, you are diluting the campaign against abolition of that subclassification of children in the JJ Act of 2015, where a child between 16 to 18 years, if accused of a heinous offense, would be tried as an adult. Why do we try people? Why do we punish adults? Of all the theories of punishment, the most appealing, and that's my personal opinion, of course, you may have your own opinion and you are entitled to that, is the free will theory. Why do we punish? Because we treat adults as rational, thinking human beings. So when you treat adults as a rational, thinking human being, you make them responsible for whatever good or bad they do. Are you going to treat children likewise? Is the question that I'm leaving you with. Thank you very much, Vikram, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Pandey, for, as always, being very frank and very deeper in your thoughts. So let me now request Mr. Anant Kumar Asthana. Anant is one of the leading lawyers and voices on child rights, both inside and outside the court. And although most of us know him, and even the courts recognized through his individual petitions and appointing him as amicus curiae in several cases now. I personally know Anant for like 1.5 decades now. So over to you, Anant. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. Time बहुत कम है, इसलिए हम बहुत संक्षेप में अपनी बात रखेंगे, and I'll try to use both the languages. थोड़ा सा डेटा हम दे देते हैं आपको, हम जिनके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं वो कितना परसेंटेज है लमसम. The children who are facing the rigor of this kind of approach, criminalizing their sexual activities through POCSO. हक सेंटर फॉर चाइल्ड राइट्स ने एक स्टडी की थी इन 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स, मुंबई एंड दिल्ली, और उनका जो केस सैंपल था उसमें 26 से 27% केसेस वो थे जिनके लिए वर्ड यूज किया गया है डिफैक्टो कंसेंशुअल केसेस, जिन केसेस की हकीकत ये है कि वहां प्यार मोहब्बत वाला मामला था, रोमांटिक केसेस थे वो. In the same manner, another study came in year 2018, and this study was based on 5 states: Delhi, Assam, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. And the number of percentage of de facto consensual cases is reported in that report between 15 to 22%. So imagine the sheer number of children. I remember having conversations about it when the POCSO was rolled out. Several judicial officers were little concerned that now we will have to send people to jail. Earlier they had little scope that was taken away by POCSO, and somehow several courts at the trial level tried to find a way out to protect unnecessary hardship created by use of criminal law in matters as sensitive as love, marriage, relationships. But when the final name came, it was the independent thought judgment. Judges' hands were tied, and we don't know how many people are actually languishing in jail because of this judgment. That I find very unnecessary and very threatening and actually alarming. So the group of lawyers which one of the speakers mentioned in Assam, I would like to be one of those lawyers who will find a way out of protecting young people from this riot of criminal law. Let me also bring in here, it's very easy to take away something by law. When the law gives something, हम लोग बात करते हैं, we keep talking about implementation नहीं होता law का. It's very difficult to get implemented. You know why? Have you thought about it? The laws which compel state to give something, those laws are not implemented. So we keep having all these beneficial laws where duties are created on state to deliver something. Some right has been acknowledged and you deliver it. It will take, I don't know how many years we are talking about implementing this juvenile justice law. But when it comes to taking away something, it's very fast and very frequent. So when we create any law which takes away something, we have to be very responsible. We can't be reckless. We can't be angry looking at one part of reality. There have been references to Indian society. Tell me, what is Indian society? Give me a sample of Indian society. We are living in an era where there are 1,000 kind of Indian societies. Which society we are referring to? So I don't think there is any one homogeneous Indian society. You come to Delhi, you come to Mumbai, you go to Kohima, you go to Jammu and Kashmir. There are different kind of societies. So one yardstick cannot be applied, and the argument of Indian social context. I don't know what is Indian social context. Give me the Indian social context. I will give you completely opposite Indian social context. So that theory I don't buy. And I will use this forum to put an alarm that unnecessary use of criminal law. Professor Saab have said he has taught the law as is his job. Ye law mein ye hai, ye law mein ye hai, but we are not talking about law here. We are also talking about whether this law is serving its purpose. The title itself is romanticizing so-called. So I don't think it's so-called. I think it is a reality, and the policy which seems to be operating behind the POCSO mindset is that if we criminalize it, and if we criminalize it to the fullest extent possible, children will not have sex. Now, anybody in the sane mind would like to think this is going to happen. Doesn't matter how much criminal law you apply, it's not going to work. So we have to accept the reality. We also have to look at what's happening in the society. I was talking to two of my friends today, and both of them narrated me two stories. Stories of very young children. One 6-year-old male child had erection during watching and sexually charged cinema on TV. And this was something noticed by the parents, and they got very alarmed. Another incident where a child of almost similar age got little excited about a romantic scene going on the TV. This is the environment where our children are growing up. I'm not finding fault with anything. I'm just saying that please acknowledge that our society has these impressions which are coming onto the minds of children, and we have to engage with them responsibly instead of just being angry and using and supporting and advocating use of more and more criminal law. Firstly, we don't want criminal law much. We have this law, POCSO, which has already taken a very one-sided, and I must say that the issue of these Romeo-Juliet exceptions were discussed. It's not that they didn't discuss it. They discussed it and they took a position that we will go this way. So please stop at POCSO. Let the lawyers and the judges and the public prosecutors try to see how many young people, adolescent children can be protected from unnecessary interference of criminal law. What is the good coming out of it? You send a 21-year-old boy to jail for God knows how many years. Tell me what is the good coming out of it? I don't see any good. The girl is suffering. Many kids commit suicide because of all this. So child protection is our target, but where is child protection located in that whole context? So I will urge to look at that. Question of agency. You look at the POCSO law and also try to look at how it is complying with the UNCRC, and the comment number 14 will help you in great regard. That question of agency is central while appreciating the compliance of Indian legal laws with the mandate of UNCRC. So please have a look at comment number 14. And to take away agency completely in the matter of choices and consent, right? And pushing the law towards a more and more carceral, punitive, punishment-oriented outcome, I see a greater harm coming for the young generation from that, right? And the trend, if we see the deprivation of agency, we may talk about children, but if you look at the new anti-human trafficking bill, there in the name of protection, they are also taking away agency from adults. right? I'm sure many of you might have looked at this draft. Is locking of women in the institution, is proposing to lock up women in the institution. They're adult women, all in the name of protection. Where are we going to stop? It's a very carceral, heavily protectionist, and I must say very male. It's a very male mindset to look at the whole scenario. It comes from a heavily patriarchal attitude that we are going to protect, and we are going to protect at you at any cost. And I know what is better for you. You know nothing. Depriving children from their basic human dignity and inherent capacity to know what they are doing, instead of looking at thousands of other ways in which this entire concern of protecting children from harm which comes from sexual abuse, we are taking a very short-sighted approach, that is jail police. So I will definitely urge you that when it comes to taking away something from somebody, that the liberty, the freedoms which are there, when we create a law, when we advocate a law, when we celebrate a judgment which actually restricts hands of people who are in a position to give some relief, acknowledge freedoms, and tie their hands, that is not something we can celebrate. So definitely I am not on the mission which was initially talked by somebody. I am on a different mission to see that the criminal law interferes less and less into the life of citizens. We have enough criminal law. It has gone, and this is a time where we have to just push back a little bit, calm down a little bit, deal with your personal anger, and have a little empathetic approach towards how we are going to protect children from harm which comes from sexual intercourse or sexual offenses. We have majority judgments coming upholding this approach of POCSO law. But if you remember, recently in 2021, the Madras High Court gave a judgment, I think in January 2021 itself. I hope some of you may have seen that. Please read that judgment. It's a crying call for having a look at what kind of impact the very tight interpretation of POCSO offenses. I remember there was a case in Delhi in the early days of POCSO, where a judge had interpreted sexual offense and had given relief to a young boy from operation of POCSO law by dissecting sexual and offenses differently. The act was sexual, but the judge said, in my view, it doesn't amount to an offense because there is no element of criminality which is coming in this case. Right? This judgment created lots of discussion, lots of debate, and I'm told that this matter actually went up to the Delhi High Court, and the approach of the judge was upheld by the Delhi High Court in that specific case. But I will be very happy to see judges and lawyers engaging with the law more carefully, practicing it in a way that it gives relief to people. Of course, I'm not advocating that the offender should be protected from operation of criminal law, but we are talking about the cases where criminality is not there. Sexual activity is there, but criminality is not there. I'm talking about those kind of cases. And the last point which I would make is that, just give me a second. Yes. What should be the yardstick for us to see whether whatever we are doing is correct or not? We all are here, no doubt, in my mind at least, that all of us who are gathered here are committed towards child protection. We want to protect our children. But when we march ahead on need to protect children, are we ending up on a track which is ultimately causing more harm? That is something which we have to think, because we started from the point of protecting children and we went on to a street which is actually full of tentacles for children, right? So that is where, when we start feeling those tentacles, we have to stop and think that maybe we have taken a wrong route and go back and see which direction we go. So we have to go back, see which direction we should go. And I'm sure there are lots of discussion, lots of debate. This subject is very sensitive, and the good thing is that the subject is heavily engaged. So people in academia, people who are working with social workers, so there is no dearth of engagement on this. The only thing which I will keep putting caution again and again, please do not go on a track of incarceration, punishment, jail in the matters unnecessarily. Please do not take away things using law, fast. Hold on little bit, right? This is where I will stop. Thank you, Vikram.
Thank you, Anand. As always, thanks for the broad and insightful perspective on that. And before I call Dr. Vipin Mishra ji, who is a kind of an academician in uniform and a researcher and a person who is implementing the law on the ground. By his own passion, he is working on the issue of child marriages. I happen to know him through one of the webinars where I realized that he's also looking at the issue from the same lens. And before I come up, I think the issue of data is very important. I think we keep talking about data. And when I see the issues of child marriage across the country, India being the largest contributor to the global numbers, and we all know 99% of the marriages which are the child marriages which happen in the country, the girl has no agency, no decision-making power in those marriages, where the parents and the family members are the perpetrators. And when we look at data, the different kinds of societies we have in the country, definitely there's a need to look on the larger frame rather than fixing on one particular category of children. So Vipin ji, it's over to you, and we will love to listen to you. And Vipin Mishra ji is presently Superintendent of Police in District Sultanpur, and a very, very senior officer. And sir, to you, sir.
Thank you, Vikram sir, and all my respected seniors. Thank you for calling me on this August occasion. अपनी बात मैं इस तरीके से रखना चाहूँगा कि ये कोई ऐसा इशू नहीं है जिस पे हम इस बात को सिद्ध करें कि आप गलत हैं और हम सही हैं, या हम सही हैं आप गलत हैं। लड़ाई इस बात की नहीं है। कुल मिलाकर बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ चाइल्ड क्या है, बस इस पर ही हम फोकस रहें तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होगा। अभी बहुत सारे वक्ताओं को हमने सुना और की नोट एड्रेस में भी प्रोफेसर सिन्हा सर ने जो है सारी बातें काफ़ी हद तक कवर कर दी हैं। मैं लॉ पे नहीं जाऊंगा और बहुत सारे चीज़ों को कवर किया जा चुका है कमीशंस द्वारा भी, एडवोकेट्स के द्वारा भी। मैं दो तीन जो बुनियादी तौर पर चीज़ें हम मिस कर रहे हैं उन पर जाऊंगा। देखिए, अभी भी जो चीज़ है कि बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ चाइल्ड है, इस पर एक माइंडसेट पूरी सोसाइटी का, एकेडमिशिया का, ये बन नहीं पा रहा है। जिन अब हमसे पहले जिस वक्ता ने अपनी बात रखी, बहुत अच्छी बात उन्होंने रखी कि हमें ड्रैकोनियन लॉ नहीं लागू करना है, और जिस तरह से जो बच्चे हैं, क्या परिस्थितियां हैं, हमें पहले उन पर गौर करना है और उन परिस्थितियों के हिसाब से ही लॉ में क्या प्रोटेक्शन उनको दिया जा सकता है, इस पर हम फोकस करें तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है। लेकिन मैं आपको बताऊं कि भारतीय कानूनों की संख्या तो बहुत ज़्यादा है और शायद इसी नाते जब संविधान बना था तो सर आइवर जेनिंग्स साहब ने कहा कि ये वकीलों का स्वर्ग है। इतनी व्याख्याएं हैं कि उन व्याख्याओं के आगे सही क्या है या कभी भी निर्धारण हो ही नहीं पाता। कोई भी दुनिया का समाज, किसी भी देश में जितने भी समाज हैं वो हमेशा हेट्रोजीनियस ही होते हैं और देश का कानून हमेशा एक ही होता है। तो यह कहना कि यह हमारे समाज के हिसाब से यह कानून नहीं है या वो एक पर्टिकुलर सोसाइटी को इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहा है यह कानून, ऐसा सोचना, ऐसा समझना जो है वो बेमानी होगा। कभी भी हम इस बात की एनालिसिस नहीं करते हैं, जैसे जे एक्ट में एज डिटर्मिनेशन की बात है। एज डिटर्मिनेशन में एक प्रैक्टिस चल पड़ी है, वह प्रैक्टिस है मेडिकल टेस्ट के द्वारा ऑसिफिकेशन टेस्ट कराने की। उस लड़के का या लड़की का जो भी विक्टिम है, अगर एज सर्टिफिकेट है भी, हम उसे दरकिनार कर रहे हैं। पंचायत सर्टिफिकेट है, उसको दरकिनार कर रहे हैं। म्युनिसिपल सर्टिफिकेट है, उसको दरकिनार कर रहे हैं। और एक टेंडेंसी चल पड़ी है कि मेडिकल एज डिटर्मिनेशन करिए। 16 साल की एज भी आ गई तो +-2 का बेनिफिट है, लड़की को बालिग मान लिया जाता है। आज तक मैंने किसी भी लीगल इंटरप्रिटेशन में +-2 को +2 ही देखा, कभी -2 होते हुए नहीं देखा। 16 साल की लड़की को 18 साल का तो मान लिया गया, लेकिन 16 साल की बच्ची को कभी 14 साल का नहीं माना गया। या बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ चाइल्ड भी कह सकते हैं इसको, या जिनके कंधों के ऊपर इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ लॉ, इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूट की जिम्मेदारी है, उनके माइंडसेट की भी बात कर सकते हैं, उनके पर्सनल बायसेस की भी बात कर सकते हैं। और शायद इसी नाते कचहरी एक ऐसी चीज है जिसे वकीलों का स्वर्ग ही कहा जाता है और वो हमेशा रहती है। और इन कानूनों में कहाँ से पेंच निकाल के लोगों को फायदा पहुंचाया जा सकता है, इस पर हमेशा फोकस होता है। मैं बहुत ज्यादा इस पर और न कह के केवल एक अनुरोध करूंगा कि जितने भी इस तरह के केसेस हैं जहां हमने चाइल्ड मैरिज को, बल्कि अब मैं ये कहूंगा कि उसको लीगली रिकॉग्नाइज किया है, एक स्टडी होनी चाहिए कि ऐसे पेयर्स को जो जूलियो रोमियो कंसेप्ट में एक्सेप्ट किए गए, लीगलाइज किए गए, ऐसे पेयर्स को इन्होंने एसडीजी के डेवलपमेंट में क्या मुकाम हासिल किए, जीडीपी में क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया और उनकी पोस्ट मैरिज लाइफ क्या रही। अगर ये डाटा हम सामने लाएंगे तो शायद ज़्यादा स्पष्ट हो पाएगा कि ये लॉ और इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन हमें किस दिशा में करना चाहिए। ओवरऑल हमें एक ऐसा समाज रचना है जो एक विकास की ओर हमें ले जाए, ये ना कि एक लाइबिलिटी की ओर ले जाए। ऐसे सारे जोड़े विकास की ओर तो नहीं बढ़ पाते हैं, लाइबिलिटी की ओर ज़्यादा बढ़ते रहते हैं। अभी एक उदाहरण मैं सुल्तानपुर का कोट करूंगा। एक ट्राइबल बच्ची, उम्र 16 साल, वह एक 22 साल के लड़के के साथ इलोप करती है, बाद में प्रेग्नेंट होती है, पुलिस मुकदमा लिखती है, पेरेंट्स के एप्लीकेशन पर उसको रिकवर करती है, लड़का शादी से इनकार कर देता है, लड़की प्रेग्नेंट है, लड़का जेल जाता है, CWC उसे हैंडओवर करती है पेरेंट्स को और चाइल्ड लाइन की एजेंसी उसको टेक ओवर करती है प्रेगनेंसी के दौरान। प्रेगनेंसी के दौरान कथित रूप से उसका बच्चा मर जाता है या गायब कर दिया जाता है। अभी इस पर हम लोग जांच कर रहे हैं, प्रोब अंडर प्रोसेस है। तो अब वो लड़की ना तो पेरेंट्स उसको रखने के लिए राजी हैं, ना उसको कहीं और हम रिहेबिलिटेट कराने की स्थिति में है कि उसको रखा कहाँ जाए। हमने ये तो बिल्कुल लीगल प्रोटेक्शन उसको दे दिया बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ चाइल्ड मानते हुए कि ठीक है, अगर कोई लड़का और लड़की रोमियो जूलियट कंसेप्ट में आकर और शादी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद हमारी जो भी संस्थाएं हैं जहां से उनको प्रोटेक्शन मिलना है, उन्होंने बाद में रिहेबिलिटेशन के पॉइंट पर कितना अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन रखा, इस बात का कोई मेजरमेंट नहीं है। उन बच्चों के स्किल डेवलपमेंट से लेकर उनके एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन तक कहीं कोई डाटा हमारे पास नहीं। हम एक बारगी कचहरी से उनको निजात दिला देते हैं, कानून से उनको निजात दिला देते हैं, लेकिन बाद उनकी हैप्पी मैरिज का, हैप्पी लाइफ का क्या वो रहा, एंड रिजल्ट रहा, इस पर कोई स्टडी नहीं है। अगर इस पर स्टडी करके और उस डाटा पर फोकस किया जाए तो निश्चित रूप से हमें यह जानने में मदद मिलेगी कि लॉ में अभी कितने सुधार की जरूरत है और हमें अभी पोक्सो को कितने सख्ती से या कितने मासूमियत के साथ लागू करने की आवश्यकता है। यहाँ हम इस बात के लिए भले अपने को सही न कह पाए कि किस तरह के बच्चे को किस तरह का प्रोटेक्शन पोक्सो एक्ट के तहत या जेजे एक्ट के तहत दिया जाना चाहिए। यह फील्ड ऐसी है कि यहाँ हर स्टेक होल्डर वन मैन आर्मी की तरह ही काम कर रहा है। जिसका जैसा माइंडसेट है वह अपने हिसाब से पूरी एजेंसीज को एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहा है, वो अपने हिसाब से सारे रिलीफ की एजेंसीज को भी एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहा है, लेकिन एंड रिजल्ट जो है वो कुछ भी इसमें आ नहीं पा रहा। आज भी आप देखिए कि ऐसे जितने भी जोड़े हैं उनके साथ सबसे बड़ी समस्या यह है कि उनके जो पेरेंट्स हैं वो उनको एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए तैयार नहीं। अब उसके बाद उनके पास जब उनके फिजिकल लस्ट और बाकी चीजें खत्म हो जाती हैं, एक आध बच्चा पैदा हो जाता है, तो उस फैमिली के सर्वाइवल की जो दिक्कतें हैं, उन दिक्कतों में उनका सपोर्ट सिस्टम पूरी तरह गायब है। ज्यादातर मामलों में वो पढ़े लिखे नहीं हैं, पढ़े लिखे हैं भी तो उस तरह का स्किल्ड उनके पास एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं है। एम्प्लॉयमेंट एनी हाउ अगर मिला भी तो प्रॉपर रिम्यूनरेशन नहीं है। तो एक विशस सर्किल एक्सप्लॉयटेशन की वो हमेशा फेस करते हैं और उसके बाद एंड रिजल्ट ये आता है कि वह लड़की या तो किसी डोमेस्टिक सर्विट्यूड के उसमें इन्वॉल्व होती है और वो लड़का या तो उसको छोड़ के भाग लेता है या फिर कहीं और शादी करके वो अपने मजे में रहता है और लड़की अपने बच्चों के साथ बिल्कुल सड़क पर खड़ी नजर आती है। तो जो यथार्थ है वह हमारे इस कानूनी दांव पेच और बहस से काफी दूर खड़ा है। हम ज्यादा फोकस नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, उस पर ज्यादा डाटा नहीं इकट्ठा कर पा रहे हैं। अगर वो डाटा इकट्ठा करेंगे तो हमारी आंखें जो है वो ज्यादा खुली रहेंगी। फिर हम किसी भी और बात करने से पहले ये 10 बार सोचेंगे कि ठीक है, बच्चे हैं, उन्होंने अपने सेक्सुअल डिजायर्स को पूरा किया और उसके बाद से फिर मैरिज कंजुमेट की, मैरिज सेरेमनाइज की, उसके बाद उनका सर्वाइवल क्या रहा, इसके बारे में इन सारी एजेंसीज को अगर हमने देखा नहीं, हमने इन एजेंसीज को सक्रिय नहीं किया, तो ये पूरी की पूरी व्यवस्था धीरे धीरे कोलैप्स कर जाएगी। और उसमें न तो जेजे एक्ट का दोष है, न पोक्सो एक्ट का दोष है, यह अपनी जो सामाजिक व्यवस्था है उसमें जो काम करने वाले लोग हैं और जो डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, मेनली लीगल स्टेक होल्डर्स की बात मैं करूंगा, दैट मे बी प्रोसिक्यूशन, दैट मे बी पुलिस, दैट मे बी जुडिशरी, दैट मे बी एडवोकेट्स, इनका बहुत अहम योगदान है। उन्हें इस बात को सोचना होगा कि जो पेयर उनके सामने आके खड़ा है, उनके सर्वाइवल के लिए जो बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ चाइल्ड है, उनके सर्वाइवल के लिए जो बेस्ट मोड्स हैं, उसमें हम जाएं। शादी करा देना, कोर्ट से उसको लीगलाइज करा लेना बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन वह एंड नहीं है। उसके बाद की जो ग्राउंड रियलिटीज हैं उनको वो कैसे फेस करेंगे, यह ज्यादा मायने रखता है। और इस पर अभी हमने कोई काम नहीं किया है, हमारे पास कोई डाटा नहीं है। इस पर काम करने की जरूरत है। और न ही हमने कोई एजेंसी ऐसी डेवलप कर रखी हैं जो उनको स्किल डेवलपमेंट से लेकर, उनके एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन से लेकर, उनके प्रोडक्ट्स की मार्केटिंग तक का एक सपोर्ट सिस्टम, उनका एक चेन जो है बना। इस और काम करने की ज्यादा जरूरत है, मैं समझता हूँ। रही बात इनके डेवलपमेंट की, तो मैं आज भी कहूँगा कि ऐसे मैरिजेज में मेरा अपना पर्सनल व्यू है कि एजुकेशन, हेल्थ, एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज, सेटलमेंट के सारे इश्यूज, ये सारे के सारे इश्यूज जो है बहुत बुरी तरह से प्रभावित होते हैं। और एक टेंडर एज का बच्चा या बच्ची निश्चित रूप से उन सारे जीवन के थपेड़ों को का सामना करने में अब बिल्कुल असहाय और असमर्थ सा होता है। वह कहीं भी जीडीपी में अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन देने लायक स्थिति में नहीं रहता है। आज भी इस ओर हम लोगों को काम करना होगा, अदरवाइज 2030 तक जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स के अचीवमेंट्स हैं वो हमारे धरे के धरे रह जाएंगे। उनका आज भी जो डाटा है वो काफ़ी अलार्मिंग है। अभी भी सारे स्टेट्स लगभग 38% के आसपास जो हमारा इंडेक्स है, एसडीजी इंडेक्स है, उतना ही तक पहुंच पा रहे हैं। जबकि मैं मानता हूं कि ये डाटा भी कोई बहुत फेयर डाटा नहीं है, ऑलमोस्ट कंटेमिनेटेड डाटा है। इस डाटा पर रिलाई करना भी बहुत वाजिब बात नहीं होगी। मेरा अनुरोध है इस वर्कशॉप के माध्यम से कि ये जितने स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं सब वन मैन आर्मी की तरह हैं, और जब भी इस तरह के इश्यूज आते हैं उसमें ये देखें, आप जरूर देखें कि बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट ऑफ चाइल्ड क्या है, लेकिन ये भी देखें इस अर्ली मैरिज सेरेमनाइजेशन से हासिल क्या होने वाला है। मैं अपनी बात यहीं ख़त्म करता हूँ, क्योंकि सेशन काफ़ी ऑलमोस्ट लंबा हो चुका है। और थैंक्स फॉर गिविंग मी अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर पार्टिसिपेटिंग। थैंक यू विक्रम जी।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड मैं से दो चीज़ जोड़ूंगा। मुझे लग रहा है आपसे ही कभी चर्चा हो रही थी, मेरे साथ कभी कहीं डिस्कशन हो रहा था, एंड कोई डॉक्टर्स ग्रुप है जो सेक्सुअल एंड रिप्रोडक्टिव हेल्थ राइट्स पर बात करते हैं, तो उनका दिस वाज इमीडिएटली आफ्टर दे एंड दे वर वेरी कंसर्न्ड अबाउट कि जो मैंडेटरी रिपोर्टिंग का प्रोविजन है पॉक्सो के अंदर में, और बात ये हो रही थी कि उसमें एक्सेप्शन होना चाहिए, डॉक्टर्स के लिए एक्सेप्शन होना चाहिए। एंड आई सेड कि चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन ऐसा मुद्दा है, अगर जहाँ सब लोग ना जुड़े हैं तो वो तो सॉल्व ही नहीं होगा। एंड देन सडनली वो डिस्कशन किसी और मोड पर आ गया, कोई और भी खड़े थे, एंड देन द थर्ड पर्सन रेज द पॉइंट, जो मुझे लगता है कहीं डिस्कशन हुआ था कि जब मेडिकल लीगल केस होती है एक्सीडेंट्स की, देन देयर इज अ वेरी डिफरेंट स्टैंड पॉइंट बाय डॉक्टर्स, एंड इस तरह के केसेस में दे फील कि वो क्वैक्स के पास चले जाते हैं, हमारे पास नहीं आते हैं, उस तरह के स्टैंड पर है। सेकेंड बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट मुझे लगता है इशू है जो कहीं ना कहीं लाने की ज़रूरत है, और मैं आपके साथ जानबूझ के आपके ही साथ ये डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि आपका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आएगा। ये भी मैं किसी बच्चियों की ग्रुप डिस्कशन हो रही थी, एंड वी वर डिस्कसिंग, यही इसी मुद्दे को लेकर मैं छेड़ रहा था डिस्कशन कि कितने लोग शादी करना चाहते हो, कितने लोग पढ़ना चाहते हो किसी स्कूल में। मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा वो दंतेवाड़ा था कि जम्मू कश्मीर में कहीं था, मुझे एकदम याद नहीं आ रहा, बट कहीं पर बच्चियों के साथ हुई। एंड जो दो बातें निकल के आई, एक कि ये रोमांटिक मैरिज, ये लव एट फर्स्ट साइट तो होता नहीं, उसके पहले बहुत सारी बाकी इलीगल एक्टिविटी होती हैं, स्टॉकिंग होती है और बाकी हरासमेंट के इश्यूज होते हैं। तो बहुत एक देयर इज अ प्रोसेस आफ्टर विच एक इलोपमेंट का सिचुएशन क्रिएट होता है। सेकेंड, लड़कियों का बड़ा सीरियस ऑब्जर्वेशन था, एंड वी ऑल नो, हम लोग सब रिसर्च भी किए हैं लाइफ में, वी ऑल नो मेनी ऑफ द ड्रॉप आउट, जो गर्ल चिल्ड्रन की ड्रॉप आउट्स होती हैं स्कूल से, इज बिकॉज ऑफ दीज इश्यूज, जहां पर उनके साथ हरासमेंट ऑफ डिफरेंट काइंड शुरू होता है। उसमें 100 में से 2-4 ही होते हैं जो लव में कन्वर्ट होके और इलोपमेंट के लेवल पर जाते जाते तो और परसेंटेज कम हो जाता है। बट द लार्जर चंक ऑफ सच इश्यूज जो जिसको जिसको हम देख रहे हैं बहुत, इसलिए मैंने बहुत सोच के नाम लिया था कि ये सो कॉल्ड रोमांटिक मैरिजेस हैं. देयर इज अ प्रोसेस ऑफ इलीगैलिटी, देयर इज अ coercion, there is an enticement before such relationships develop. And bigger issue है जहाँ पर बच्चियां साइलेंट रहती हैं, वो इनिशियल स्टेजेस ऑफ हरासमेंट पर कुछ बोल नहीं पाती हैं, and many of these girls finally drop out from school. So thank you sir, if you want to comment anything I would like to.
सर मैं केवल इसमें इतना ही कहूंगा कि ये बिल्कुल आपने सही बात कही, और अगर आप एक रायशुमारी कराएं इवन बच्चियों से ही, 1000 बच्चियों का एक सैंपल ले लें, 1 लाख बच्चियों का सैंपल ले लें, कि क्या आप किसी अनएम्प्लॉयड लड़के से प्रेम की बात नहीं, शादी करोगे और उनका एक गोपनीय मतदान करा लें, तो शायद 2-4% एक्सेप्शन की बात नहीं करता, तो लेकिन हर बच्ची जवाब यही देगी कि नहीं, मुझे अनएम्प्लॉयड लड़के से शादी नहीं करनी। करियर फैमिली चलाने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ तो पॉकेट में रहना चाहिए। मेरे ख्याल से 70-80s में एक नारा होता था, पहले कमाएं फिर दुल्हन लाएं। तो ये जो कंसेप्ट है, हमें आज की पीढ़ी में और ज्यादा इवॉल्व करने की जरूरत है। हम लव के खिलाफ नहीं है, ना रोमांटिसिज्म के खिलाफ है, ना बाकी चीजों के, लेकिन मेनली ये है कि वो लव होने के बाद से अगर वो मैरिज में तब्दील हो रही है, तो ओवरऑल एक फैमिली का जो स्ट्रक्चर बनता है, उसके सर्वाइवल के लिए जो एक मॉनेटरी सपोर्ट है वो आएगा कहाँ से? बच्चा बच्ची पढ़े नहीं उतना, स्किल डेवलपमेंट उनके पास है नहीं, एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्वेश्चनड है, तो सवाल ये है कि बच्चे सर्वाइव करेंगे कैसे? और इसी में देखिए ये इस पे कोई तर्क नहीं हो सकता। मैं बहुत सारे तर्कशास्त्री इसको काट देंगे, बहुत सारे लोग इसको वो कहेंगे, लेकिन सच यही है। और एक मतलब आपकी अनुमति हो तो एक शेर कहना चाहूंगा, वो परवीन शाकिर का बड़ा अच्छा शेर है कि मैं सच कहूंगा फिर भी हार जाऊंगा, वो झूठ बोलेगा और लाजवाब कर देगा। तो वही बात है कि इसमें हम जैसे जैसे कानून के निकट जाते हैं, वैसे हमको रिलीफ दिलाने वाले लोग तो मिल जाएंगे, हमको बाल विवाह में रिलीफ दिलाने वाले लोग तो मिल जाएंगे, लेकिन एंड रिजल्ट में हमारा सर्वाइवल कैसे होगा इसका हल बताने वाले लोग बिल्कुल नहीं। वो आपको अपने बूते ही हासिल करना है। और जो भी इस तरह की बातें हो रही हैं, मैं फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस के आधार पर आपको कहता हूँ, वो फेक प्रोमिसेस में होती हैं, प्रॉमिस ऑफ ए फेक गुड लाइफ। आप लड़के ने सब्ज बाग दिखाया, उसके बाद से लड़का लड़की दोनों भागते हैं, फिर बाकी सारी चीजें सरमनाइज होती हैं। तो कहीं से भी इसमें बेस रियलिटी जरा भी नहीं है। लड़की के लिए क्या है, लड़की के साथ दिक्कत यह है कि एक बार भागने के बाद तो उसका सब कुछ लुट चुका है, अब वो जाए कहाँ हाँ कहने के अलावा। उसको अब चाहे जी मतलब जैसे भी रहना है, रहना उसी बच्चे के साथ है, उसी लड़के के साथ। और अगर लड़का जो है उसमें बेवफा निकला, सही तरीके से सरवाइव करने वाला नहीं निकला, तब फिर इसमें मुश्किलात के अलावा और कोई हल नहीं। और इसको कोई अदालत नहीं समझ सकती, इसको कोई वकील नहीं समझ सकता। इसको जो आदमी उनकी लाइफ को बाद में देखने के लिए कटिबद्ध है, फॉलो अप रखने वाला जो एजेंसी है, जैसे पर्सनली मैं भी इस पर काम चूंकि करता रहता हूं, तो उन ऐसी फैमिलीज का एक फॉलो अप रखने की कोशिश करता हूं कि उन बच्चों का हुआ क्या। तो वो स्थितियां आपको काफी दारुण मिलेंगी और आंख खोलने वाली मिलेंगी। इसमें कभी भी आप किसी डाटा के चक्कर में ना पड़ें, किसी लॉ के चक्कर में ना पड़ें। लॉ बहुत अच्छा है, और मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि मतलब जिस समय भी लॉ बना है, कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि बिना सोचे विचारे बना दिया गया है। बहुत सारी बातें सोच समझ के, बहुत सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स के पार्टिसिपेशन और उनकी राय के बाद ये लॉ फॉर्मुलेट हुआ। तो ऐसा तो नहीं है कि उस समय के सारे लोगों ने का माइंडसेट ही खराब था और पैट्रियार्कल सोच वाले लोग थे, वो उन लोगों ने ऐसा कानून रच डाला जो आज के रोमियो जूलियट कंसेप्ट को बिल्कुल जो है एक राइडर की तरह दिख रहा है। ये लॉ जो है ऐसा भी नहीं है जो, लेकिन हम जो पेयर लीगलाइज करने जा रहे हैं, उस पेयर का सर्वाइवल कैसे होगा, मूल यक्ष प्रश्न यह है। इस बारे में सोचने की जरूरत है। नहीं तो फिर हम हमेशा एक दूसरे पर आरोपित करके और अपने को सही और दूसरे तरफ के लोगों को गलत साबित करने में रहेंगे, और जो आम आदमी जिसकी भलाई के लिए बात कही जा रही है वो अपने आप में गौड़ हो जाएगा। एक वो बड़ा अच्छा वसीम बरेलवी साहब की 2 लाइन है कि ये अदालतों के इन फैसलों पर टिप्पणी के रूप में तो मैं नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन आंख खोलने वाली एक टिप्पणी है वसीम बरेलवी साहब की कि फैसला लिखा रखा है पहले से खिलाफ, फैसला लिखा रखा है पहले से खिलाफ, आप क्या खाक अदालत में सफाई देंगे। जो बेयर रियलिटीज हैं उसके बारे में शायद पता नहीं, अगर पता होंगी तो शायद इस तरह के निर्णय हम नहीं लेंगे और न इस तरह की एडवोकेसी कर पाएंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm just asking, Leena, is Leena there? Leena है क्या? प्रभाकर जी हैं क्या? So I'm missing out on Leena. So let me, हमारा टाइम भी हो गया, तो let me call Rosie, Miss Rosie Tabagogo. So she's another amazing lawyer with a social agenda, and as part of the NCPCR, she's custodian of the child rights at the national level now, and she is one of the few members left. Most of the members का tenure खत्म हो गया. So Rosie, over to you, and she is very vocal on the rights of children and rights of indigenous communities. And over to you, Rosie.
Firstly, good evening, everyone. I was just listening patiently to each and every one of you, and you know, this topic when Vikram brought it to me, and I was thinking, "Ki Vikram, ye kya hai?" And then I asked him, you know, पहले मैंने इस पे डील किया हुआ है, मैं डिस्कस भी करती हूँ कई बार बहुत लोगों से कि जो हम बात करते हैं, यू नो, रोमांटिक, या आप लोग जो बोल रहे हैं रोमियो जूलियट वाला, दैट is a part of human life. I think when we are growing as a teenagers, we, you know, as a personal experience or with anybody, the cases I have dealt with, I feel like it is quite normal. And as Anant Asthana ji was telling before too, we cannot, you know, hold someone's feelings for even the, you know, the hormonal effect of sexual feelings also. तो इसी बात को कहते हुए मैं ये भी कहना चाहती हूँ कि यू नो विद द चाइल्ड मैरिज टू, जब हम हर सोसाइटी की बात करें, ये सब चीजें तो बहुत ओपनली डिस्कस करने की बात होती है. एज पर द ट्राइबल सोसाइटी इज ऑल्सो कंसर्न, हमारे यहाँ भी बहुत कम उम्र में शादी हो जाता है. आई हैव पर्सनली मेट, अभी भी मैं मिलती हूँ बहुत लोगों से. आई थिंक लास्ट ईयर आई मेट अ गर्ल हु वाज 18 years old with a 1-year baby, and the husband was 19 years old. You know, and I asked, आप शादी हो गया है क्या? हाँ, तो मैंने उनको बोला कि आपको पता नहीं कि दिस इज अ चाइल्ड मैरिज? तो उन्होंने बोला नहीं, बच्चा हो गया तो यू नो इट्स अ मैरिज. सो लाइक आई से, यू नो, जनरलाइजेशन करना भी बहुत बड़ी बात होगी इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, जहाँ हर बहुत अलग अलग प्रांत में अलग अलग कल्चर चलता है. उसी के साथ अभी जो प्रीवियस स्पीकर थे उन्होंने भी अच्छा कहा कि यू नो अभी जो फॉल्स प्रोमिसेस होते हैं, बहुत सारे केसेस में मैंने भी देखे फॉल्स प्रोमिसेस होते हैं. लेकिन मैंने ये बात बहुत यू नो बहुत बार सुना है बच्चियों के साथ, बट वी नेवर स्पीक अबाउट द बॉयज हु आर इन्वॉल्व्ड. यू नो, जैसे हम डील करते हैं पॉक्सो के केसेस एट नेशनल लेवल, मैं देखती हूँ कि बहुत सारे लड़के वो क्रिमिनलाइजेशन के शिकार हो जाते हैं. दे आर सेंट टू जेल और यू नो for other reasons, and the girls are pregnant. फिर वो बच्चियां, फिर वो प्रेग्नेंट होगा, फिर बच्चा होगा, फिर बच्चे को देखने के लिए नहीं है. they are minors, so they are kept in an issue. वो भी एक इशू बनता है. तो मेरा मानना ये है, you know, when we talk about any kind of romantic relationship, we must understand that is it only the romantic relationship we are basing a child marriage on? चाइल्ड मैरिज बहुत सारे चीजों, जैसे अभी हमारे गुवाहाटी के लॉयर बोल रहे थे कि हाउ ए फॉल्स एफिडेविट इज सबमिटेड। देखा है बहुत, जो नॉन ट्राइबल, जो ट्राइबल में तो हमारे एक्सेप्टेंस है, तो नॉन ट्राइबल जितने कम्युनिटी है वो लोग करते हैं। So that's what happens. And this all thing, I think इसको बहुत सारा डिस्कशन का जरूरत है, बहुत सारा डिस्कशन का जरूरत है। अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं, जितना भी हम लोग बात करें ये रोमांटिक रिलेशनशिप या ये क्रिमिनलाइजेशन की बात या चाइल्ड मैरिज और बच्चियों के साथ क्या होगा, बच्चों के साथ क्या होगा, I really believe it's not from the point of view of the people who are involved in it, rather it's a very family honor की बात करते हैं लोग। क्या कोई बच्चा, अगर एक 14 इयर्स की लड़की एक 17 इयर्स का लड़का सेक्सुअल रिलेशनशिप में होगा, क्या उसको हम बोलेंगे रोमियो जूलियट? या ओनली बिकॉज शी इज प्रेग्नेंट उसको हम एक्सेप्शन में डाल के बोलेंगे कि हाँ दे आर, कि उनको चाइल्ड मैरिज करने दीजिए? ये सब चीजें ना करते करते क्या हो गया, आज हम देखते हैं बहुत सारी कम्युनिटीज हैं, बहुत सारी कम्युनिटीज जहाँ पे इसको अलाउ किया जाता है। इस पे बच्चियों का भी नहीं, जो मेल्स इन्वॉल्व हैं, जो बच्चा भी इन्वॉल्व है बिलो द एज ऑफ 21, जिसको हम आज बोलते हैं दे कैन नॉट गेट इनटू मैरिज एज अ चाइल्ड मैरिज, तो उनका भी तो बुरा हाल हो जाता है। बच्चियां बहुत सारी ड्रॉप आउट हो जाती है बिकॉज वंस दे आर मैरिड दे आर एक्सपेक्टेड टू डू हाउसहोल्ड chores, or then they are expected to have babies, and उनको पढ़ाई लिखाई तो आगे होगा नहीं, एक ड्रॉप आउट का एक सेक्शन बनेगा। जो लड़का होगा वो भी तो अपना फैमिली चलाने के लिए काम काज करने में बिजी हो जाएगा। And at that tender age, bearing so many children becomes a health issue for the woman also. But saying all this, I think we cannot have an exception to romantic relationship ko ki bole ki nahi, because they are in relationship. A 12 years old girl and a 14-year-old boy can have a romantic relationship, but is it okay? Is it okay from the point of view of that particular child? Even हम लोग उसका देखे कि उनके लिए अच्छा है कि नहीं, दोनों के लिए, उसी को भी गौर करना बहुत जरूरी है। बट वो एक्सेप्शन डाल देने से द वेरी एक्ट, जो अभी भी जो हम बात करते हैं चाइल्ड मैरिज एक्ट की बात करते हैं, उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन अभी तक सही नहीं हो रहा है। क्या इस एक्सेप्शन को डालने से अच्छा होगा? एज अ पर्सनल व्यू आई फील नॉट, बट हैविंग सेड दैट, मुझे लगता है कि क्रिमिनल उसको डिटरेंट लीगल क्रिमिनलाइजेशन करना उस लड़के का, वो भी बुरा होगा सोसाइटी के लिए। We always speak about women rights और लड़कियों का गर्ल्स प्रोटेक्शन पॉलिसी सब करते हैं, लेकिन लड़कों का भी हमको सोचना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि many POCSO cases I have seen where both the girl and the boy were in a relationship or whatever it is, sexual relationship, and the girls का parents को पता चल जाता है and they file a case in POCSO and जो भी child marriage, और उसको बचाते बचाते वो लोग फॉल्स एफिडेविट कर देता है, एंड other things comes up. So somewhere I feel that even when we talk about POCSO cases or whenever we talk about child marriages, we need to understand and deal with the case to case basis. जैसे शुरू में कहा कि एक्सेप्शन एक पंडोरा बॉक्स खोल देता है। एक्सेप्शन एक आज हम लोग को एक मुद्दा भी देता है उस पर विचार करने का, उसमें बात करने का कि कौन से एज में कौन सा सही होगा। अभी एक 12 इयर्स का लड़की if 35 40 years, can we say it's a romantic relationship? Is the man not seducing a younger girl or fulfilling his fetish? उसके बाद उसको भगा के ले जाएगा, कुछ और क्राइम हो जाएगा, कोलेटरल डैमेजेस हो जाएगा, तो उसका दायित्व या उसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कौन लेगा? तो ये सब बहुत सारी बातें हैं जिसको और डिस्कशन की जरूरत है। इस एक्सेप्शन को डायरेक्ट लगाना भी अच्छा नहीं है, और जो अभी बार बार ये प्रस्ताव आ रहा है कि एज को कम करना है, एज को कम करना है, वो भी बहुत, I think more and more discussion should be needed before an act of or a legal legislation is brought before it. And today I have learned a lot again. I am keep on learning, and thank you for all the speakers to giving me a chance to listen to you all. I think मेरा और एक पर्सपेक्टिव खुल गया है, और ऐसे डिस्कशंस होने चाहिए ऐसे डिस्कशंस होने चाहिए जहाँ सब लोग मिलके ये नहीं बोले नहीं 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 होना चाहिए, या मिलके नहीं बोले नहीं नहीं होना चाहिए। ऐसा डिस्कशन होना चाहिए जहाँ हमको एक सोचने का मौका मिले। those listener today who are listening to us also and those speakers also, उसको एक एक माइंड में उसको एक तक करना चाहिए कि हाँ ये सही है, ये गलत है। तो I hope, I think more of this kind of discussions will come on, and I have to tell Vikram that this was a very good discussion that I took part, and I thoroughly learned a lot, and I will be thinking about it and pondering and putting my thoughts into it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rosie, and your presence is always welcome, and you definitely bring a national perspective plus the tribal dimension to the whole debate. And so we lost Leena for some network issues. I can see Swagata. Swagata, would you like to share your views or something?
Hi, Vikram. Sorry, I joined in late. I did not get
No
an
issues.
opportunity to hear all speakers.
No issues. Please.
Yes, so I think just wanted to share a few findings that we have from various studies that we have done. And while I understand the whole aspect of grooming, the concern that, girls may be exploited, induced to run away, but what our study findings have shown us is that a lot of these girls are also in interfaith and intercaste relationships that are frowned upon by their families. And then the violence that ensues at home leaves them with no other option but to seek, flight from, but to seek a future, an imagined future with their boyfriend or whatever. Now, having said that, I think the question that one of our earlier speakers mentioned as to what is really in the best interest of children, and how are we advancing the best interest of children by saying that if for your protection, we will criminalize you. For your protection, we will institutionalize you. And what changes overnight when the child attains 18? Some of the children who are staying in childcare institutions are just waiting to join their husbands, and nothing much is changing after they join their husbands. The same situations that people are describing, it may be a violent marriage, may not, but nothing really is changing from that one intervention, which seems to be temporarily to protect children from themselves and their sexual urges. But what is definitely changing from that child's perspective is that there is humiliation, there is criminalization, there is institutionalization that is impeding their development. And overall, what is it really saying about us as a society? To also address some of the concerns that I heard, being shared at the moment, I don't think the law ceases to exist for children who are in violent relationships. We have Section 375, we have several other provisions. So the law is available to be used where the facts demonstrate that there is violence, that there is exploitation. I think the question really is, how should the law look at relationships where there is no exploitation? And how does one craft a law that takes into account that there can be relationships which are not exploitative, which are normal, which is a normal part of growing up, and not bring those into the system? So with that, I think these are just few things.
Acha.
Thank you, Swagata. And I can see some Vidya ji writing so many comments. Vidya ji, would you like to share or speak your views? You have been constantly writing your messages. So if you would like to share your views. The speaker not working. So anyways, people can. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for the wonderful and open discussion. This is just a start of a discussion which we initiated. And there are so many point of views which are coming. And as Rosie concluded very beautifully, that it's a learning for everyone. It's an eye opener and learning for everyone. And as Vipinji said, it's not about who is right and who is wrong. There are a lot of conflicting provisions. There are a lot of conflicting data also. So every data has a counter data. And what's in the best interest, as Vipinji said, it's still under debate, discussion, and a lot of areas for research. As you rightly said, what's happening post, and I know Vipinji is on a continuous basis is tracking these cases, at least in his own jurisdiction, wherever he is. So he's also kind of doing a research to understand what actually happens to these relationships. So there are a lot of things, and definitely anyone who works on child protection is concerned about the boys who get packed into these so-called reformative institutional care, child care institutions. But we know what the status of these institutions are, how reformative they are, what are the kind of support systems and provisions they provide for today. So that's definitely a sad part of the whole story, which is a larger concern for everyone who works on child protection. But how a mid-path or middle way can be brought in, or specific provisions can be carved out so that it does not put anyone or any category of children or larger category of children into larger danger. So with that note, I thank everyone individually who was part. There was a little goof up from our side. This YouTube live couldn't happen for some technical reason, but we will definitely upload this recorded video as soon as possible. So thank you everyone, and have a nice Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikramji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.